be smart with how you spend your time, because that's what Johan is saying here. Be smart with how you spend your time. Don't reinvent the wheel every time. Just focus on the new add-ons for each page, what we're really focusing on. Spend time on developing those, making them look good, and then do as much copy paste as you can.
Yeah, Marcus, you're one of the founders of this project, and could you tell us a little bit more about what made you start this project, and what are you doing?
So the idea behind Skördetid, the platform we are running, is that we wanted to be able to utilize agricultural resources to a bigger extent. So we wanted to create basically a machine sharing platform, or a platform for exchanging machine services, meaning a farmer operating a agricultural machinery, basically. So I grew up on a farm myself, and I've seen that there are so many resources, unused resources, that aren't used to their full potential on farms all over Sweden. And we wanted to change that and create a sharing economy platform, or a circular economy platform for agriculture.
Since you're a startup, you don't have too many resources to work with, so you have to rely quite a lot on interns helping you out.
Yeah, so we've been fortunate to be blessed by a great mentor in you, that are helping us with business development and development of our IT systems, and also guiding interns as well. And we are, as you said, relying a lot on interns, since we don't have the financial resources to hire a lot of manpower. But in return, we're also providing them with a lot of guidance. So guidance from your side on the on development itself, front-end development, also some back-end. And we also provide, the rest of the team provides insights into business development, making sure that we are completely transparent. And the idea is that they will help us, and while they are helping us, they also grow professionally and also hopefully personally alongside the project.
Yeah. The interns have been quite lucky in finding new jobs. That
yeah, it's been amazing to see, actually. So we've had several interns coming straightly from programming school, where they have decided that they want to get into this new line of business with other backgrounds and expertises before. So we were their first employer coming fresh out of programming school, and now they're off to full-time jobs as front-end developers, several of them. So we're super happy about that. And it's been really fun to make an impact and see the development.
So this little presentation I want to make is about front-end development for Skördetid, but it's kind of general. It also works for back-end development and any kind of development in that sense. And this is something that I kind of realized the first time when I was working with a completely new programming language that I haven't heard before in a large system. And I didn't really know how to do things. And instead of trying and doing it my own way, I looked at what the other developer had done and I copied most of it. And that way, everything went a lot faster. And I didn't really have to know the code, because I could just look at the existing code, copy it, and modify it to suit the needs of the interface. And I think this presentation is also relevant for people who are administrating developers, because it's good to know what kind of problems you're facing as a developer and as a new developer in a system. From time to time, I get questions if we're using a design framework like Bootstrap or Material UI, React, or Material Design, or something else. And those frameworks are really good if you want to make a design and you don't really have that much experience, and you want to be able to hire new developers that know this framework and just can come in, do the work, and leave again, and you can get another developer and they still know the framework. And then in that sense, you don't have to educate them if you can verify that they already know this framework from the beginning. The negative thing is that you get a ton of things that you really do not need, because these are complete frameworks with a ton of different expressions and tools that you can use for design. And it might be that you don't need all of them. And if you want to have a branded, tailored design that you usually want in customer-facing applications, then you have to kind of augment or add your own style to these frameworks as well. So you need to modify them to suit your brand. And that might be harder to do than just creating your own custom CSS. And in the case for Skördetid, when we started, we actually got help from a business called Nobiz, which is a branding and design bureau that helped us create these designs. And because these are custom designs, we decided to build something based on the layout that they presented. So that's why we didn't opt for any of the existing design frameworks. Skördetid is a small startup so far and is quite dependent on interns. And interns come and go because all of a sudden they get hired and then you have to find some new interns. And interns might not do the things you expect them to do all the time. And it's quite interesting to see if you start out here, you have this design of the forum where we created some shadow boxes. There's some pink headline and quite some space in the top here. You can see that we use this div and an H3 for the headline and a P for the body text. And that's just fine. But then when the next page were built, we figured out that we didn't want the shadows really. And the lines here and the spacing between the image and the border become more similar all over the frame. So it was more pleasant to look at. And we were quite happy with this layout. And you can see here a UL and LI element was used and a figure for the image and caption. So this was quite nice setup. And then we continue with the next interface. And the spacing is still quite nice all around here. But there's all of a sudden a pink border around the image, and the title ended up here in the bottom. And the spacing on the corner here is very small. And we still got this figure in use. But all of a sudden, we switch back to divs because this intern perhaps were more comfortable with using the divs. And we have these resource column class, and we have some resource single view. If we go back to the previous one, we have something called gray border, but we don't have anything else really deciding that this is a resource. And we're looking for something that is more general to work with. If we go to the next view, you have Omingård. Here, the image has changed entirely to a div instead of the figure. So you have the two divs to start with, and then you have a div with an image. And we continue with the next one, which is the blog. Here you have a combination of divs and UL and LI elements again. And all of a sudden the title is above the image, and there's some additional space here on the top again, because this title was probably copied from the forum page. So there's kind of a mismatch of copying from different parts and not from other parts. And that makes the page even though it's kind of following the same style and the same colors, there is a difference that makes the site incoherent, and you don't get that top-notch design feeling. So what I did here is I created this layout page where I try to collect all the layouts, and I usually do these for my web projects, so I can have all the different types of layouts in one place, because then I can easily go to this page and see, okay, I want these 4 blocks or column pages with items. Then I can see in the code, then I need a box list. And in order for the boxes to be gray, I need a div with gray border box. And since I'm using the gray border box everywhere, I can easily modify it or replace it if I want to style up the CSS. So this is kind of a good reference point to have when you're looking at the design. And if you are supposed to design new things, then it might be a good idea to add those design elements here as well if you want to reuse them in other areas of the site. And here you can also see a column section, and there's 2 columns, and below you have 1 column. So you can see that there are different behaviors depending on how you want to lay out the site. And these are also adapted, so they will adapt when you change the size of the screen. So if you have a mobile view, you have one layout. And if you change it to a desktop, you have a different. And if you use this HTML and class tags, you don't really have to go into the CSS because the styling is the same always. And what this have in effect is that you can see above here is the previous layout, and below is the one where I reuse the same HTML tags on all different areas. And you can see that the shadows are gone from the forum post. The spacing is equal on all pages. You have enough space on the title or on the text. There's enough space in the box, so you don't get either too much space or too little space. So you have more consistency all around the platform, and that makes a more coherent layout. Here you can also see the blog post, what difference this makes to have the same layout here as well. One of the main advantages with this is that in the future, if we figure out that we want to update the interface, we might have decided that all of these gray thin borders, we want thicker pink borders. We only have to update in 2 places in the code, from 1 pixel to 5 pixels and from 0.3 to 1.3. And then we get this layout on all different pages. So that makes it a lot easier to both save time while working on the design, because you only have to copy the HTML and you don't have to think too much about the CSS. You only focus on the CSS if there are new details you want to add to the site. But the main framework and behavior of the site is already decided. And the second thing is, when you finalize the design and you want to make changes and updates, you can go and easily do a global search and replace, or you can just modify a few parameters and then you can update the entire site in one go. And that also makes you have less CSS in the style sheet, which is faster to download, and then your page gets faster as well. So there's a triple win, at least, if not more, if you think about this strategy on how you build your application from the ground up. And this also applies if you are working with any other part of the application on backend code. You don't have to reinvent the wheel again. Look in the classes and the styles and see, are there any functions that I can use that are already defined and coded. Because if you need a list of users that have the rights to do something specific, then there might be a function in the user class that does that already. So it's a good idea to actually read through the code and try to see what does the code do. Is there something I can copy or reuse? That will save a lot of time. So that was all I wanted to share. And now it's questions, if you have any, or thoughts. Yes, Marcus?
I just want to stress that I think this whole reinvent the wheel thing that you emphasized, I think that's really, really important, because it's also important for us as a company, as a business, to feel like we're working on the same solution together, because you're not working on independent solutions or independent pages or sites off the page. You're actually working together towards this common goal. So the styling should be the same, and you should all feel like that you're making progress together, and you should all feel that you're moving in one direction together, where I also feel like this is helpful. So if we set a standard, we should follow that. Super.
What about they had said we had learned that when you are making the styling, you should make it eye-catching for the customers. I think the first box is more eye-catching than the second one. Or it doesn't matter. For example, this is what we had learned, that sometimes when you're styling, you need to make the page like eye-catching, very attractive.
Yeah, there's always a kind of a struggle between doing something specific for each single page, because you might have a goal like making it eye-catching.
Yes.
But making it eye-catching should not compete with making it coherent with the rest of the website.
Okay.
And I do agree that if you look at the styling as it was before, you still have like these styles in the forum where you have the title here on top. What's been done is adding an image below just to include the image. And you could do that. But if I'm going to talk about more design and style aspects, this is like three different objects. You have the title, then you have an image, and then you have a text below. And it's almost like they're not connected together, even though they're inside the same box. So this one, I feel at least that the image is kind of part of the title, and the text below is connected more to the title than in the first one, where the image more acts like a divider between the title and the text.
Okay.
But it's really up to the designer to think and try to figure out what works and what doesn't work. I'm also curious, what do you mean when you say it pops more?
Like, for example, if you have like the colors, the color that attract the eye, this is what we had learned. For example, if you check most of the website for selling the beauty products, they have like pink colors, or even this color we are using here, that is making you like very attractive. You need to go there. You don't want to pass the page.
Yeah.
Like don't have like dull color like lime green or something like that.
No, but you're referring to kind of call to actions and focus points. And the focus point is more about the contrast between the focus point and the rest of the content. And you still, in the second sample, have the pink color. So this is still the focus of the page. the title is still a focus which is catching your eye. So you don't have to extend it even more to highlight it. And you have the 0 in the comment bubble, which is also kind of catching your eye. Even though it's a small element, the color pops really much. So you notice that one. The only thing that you don't notice is the green dates. And I'm not sure, it doesn't have to have that much focus. So it's fine that it's green.
Okay.
But it's also a little bit alone in the context. So there's nothing balancing that green, telling us that that this side has green, apart from, if you look at the logo, you have these leaves on top of the Skördetid. So there you have the recognition of the green again. But
Okay.
we are not really leveraging the green that much in the interface otherwise.
Okay.
So making it pop is, again, more about the contrast than actually making it big and take over the page.
I think that in terms of being eye-catching, I think we also need to reflect on what part of the website that we are building. Because if you are, for instance, highlighting a product, or we can take our landing page, for instance, when you get to our landing page that we're currently building, the new version, then you really want it to stand out and really catch the visitor, the ones that are visiting for the first time, to kind of convey a message or make them react to the landing page, get interested in the product, wanting to register. So that's something where we want to create an eye catcher. But what Johan says here is like every new page can't be a complete mystery or something completely eye-catching or popping to the user. They have to, there has to be some red line between the pages, so they recognize themselves, so they know what they can expect. They see the same design throughout the website flowing through the different pages. The only thing that stands out is, for instance, the call to action buttons that you are talking about, because then we're asking the user to do something very specific on that page. So not everything is about that it has to be extremely remarkable and pop in that sense and eye-catching. It's all about what's the purpose of that specific page that we're building. So I think that's also something reflective, and also which goes back to us then building the same solution together. If you will be building standalone websites, all of you, then I get it, because then you're all working perhaps on different landing pages and you really need to make the most of your material and really make it pop and eye-catching. But here we're building the same solution. So there's one landing page, the first page we get to, and then every other page after that has its purpose that we need to define it afterwards. And also make sure that the user recognizes himself or herself as they go through the website.
Okay. Great.
And you want to avoid put the user's focus on too many things, because then everything has the same kind of focus. And then if everything has the same highlighted focus, then nothing is really focused.
Super. Thanks a lot. I think it's really important then to also kind of wrap up that it's like, be smart with how you spend your time, because that's what Johan is saying here. Be smart with how you spend your time. Don't reinvent the wheel every time. Just focus on the new add-ons for each page, what we're really focusing on. Spend time on developing those, making them look good, and then do as much copy paste as you can. And now you want to set the standard so you can do the copy pasting, and because otherwise you will do the same work over and over again.
Yeah, and you really made the work easy to set the standard. I just had to look at the designs you've made previously, and then kind of decide, okay, here I want to use this design, here I want to use that design, and put it together in a cohesive way so we have the same everywhere. So that helped a lot, and that's also one of the reasons why I waited to do this kind of merger of the designs until now, because now we have more to pick from.
One question, Johan.
Yeah.
This, you say some interns are working with div and some they prefer UL or P.
Yeah.
For example, like me, I prefer to work with div because, for example, if I need to add something else like p, then it comes as a child.
Yeah.
And then I can cascade a style.
Yes.
So is there a problem there? Because you said the code is incoherent here, and I worked before like that, and you told me to change. So is it the best practice? Like you can put div if you want, and you can put inside a paragraph a p which comes as a child.
Yeah. P's are supposed to be children to divs. So P's are content. The P's are used as paragraphs of text. So there are elements that are predefined for a certain purpose. And the ULLI is created to make lists. And then you can argue if a list of boxes is a list or if it's a bunch of div elements. So if you look at them in your mind's eye with the view that this is some kind of list I'm making, then it makes sense to make them a ULLI list. But if you're going to do them as a flexbox layout and you think of them as boxes, then you might decide to use divs instead. So it's not so much which one you pick. It's more that we decide to pick one of them and use that consistently over the site. So that's the important thing. It's not important which one you choose, but it's important that we choose one and go with that.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Now I get it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a great week, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, see you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for today.